Hey guys, and welcome to Chemical Warfare's Women in Fitness. This is a new segment that we've just launched, and I've been very, very honoured to be joined by two IFBB pros that are also Chemical Warfare superstars. First of all, up first we've got Victoria Cale, who's whooping her hands there. Hi Victoria, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Very good.
Very well.
Very good. And next up, we have got the one, the only IFBB Pro, Kate Errington. Awesome, girls, awesome. So, first of all, how are you both? Vicky, how have you been getting on this year so far?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. Yeah, really good. Busy with just work, dog walking like crazy. Training all good. Little niggle with an elbow, but it is what it is. It's just life of training, isn't it? So, yeah, life is good.
Very good, very good. And Kate, how have you been? What's new?
Not much is new, to be honest. Just like Vicky said, working, very busy with work, which is always good. Seems people want loads of entertainment at the moment, so I can't complain. And training-wise, just getting back into the groove of training since I had surgery in November. So, yeah, it's always harder, I think, with the colder months and not having a competition imminent. It can be hard to sort of get yourself up and ready for the gym, but you just got to do it anyway. So,
well, that's great. Some interesting points you've made there, which we can touch on a little bit later, especially the surgery and how you've recovered from it and got yourself back into the gym. But first of all, if you just give us a little bit of background information so the viewers can get to know you a little bit more, how you got into the fitness industry, what you enjoy about it, and how you manage your time with it.
Mm-hmm. Shall I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it all happened by accident, the competing malarkey. I've always been very fit. I've always been into training in some way or another. Obviously, I've danced my whole life, so I've always sort of kept in shape and been moving around and stuff. But joining an actual gym didn't really happen until, well, gosh, it's been about it's been that long, about 9 years ago, where I took it really seriously. And it was actually because I was performing at a bodybuilding competition, and I was working with my friend Claire, who's also a IFBB Pro now as well. And we were performing and getting changed with the bikini girls. And I'd been doing some like aerial hoop training, so I'd noticed I had more definition in my arms. And I turned around and said, "Oh, I reckon I could do that. Like, that doesn't look unachievable." And she was like, "Yeah, you should do it." And I just set myself a New Year's resolution goal of entering that competition. And so, yeah, the January the following year, I joined the gym and then did the prepped and everything in 10 weeks and entered the competition. And then I haven't left the gym since, pretty much. So, yeah, it kind of happened by accident, but turned out I was kind of good at it. So, yeah.
How long ago was that, Kate?
So I think it was 2014. Right. So 9 years ago, yeah.
Very good, very good. And Vicky, how was your initiation into the gym world?
Oh, very much similar to Kate in the sense that I did gymnastics. So literally sport has always been a giant part of my life. I did gymnastics from the age of 5 to 21, kind of retired from gymnastics and started training at a gym. Didn't know anything about bodybuilding, anything about the fitness industry, just loved training. And the actual owner of the gym that I started training at was an IFBB Pro bodybuilder. And he obviously knew my gymnastics background and told me about the kind of fitness category. And I was like, oh my God, that's like amazing. I can continue my gymnastics skills, which I loved doing, without obviously kind of having to go to Bristol a million times and training 5 times a week, kind of specifically for gymnastics. So that's kind of where I discovered the love of fitness competitions and bodybuilding. So he was my first coach, and I'm going to sound really old now, but that was my first show was like 2007. Oh. Disgusting. I'm really only 23 and I started competing at fitness when I was like 5. But yeah, so basically trained at a gym, The owner was a bodybuilder, and I actually remember seeing a picture of Monica Brandt on like a muscle and fitness competition, like magazine, and was like, oh my God, she looks amazing. I want to be her. And he was like, well, we can prep you for a show. So I did. And it was hideous because it was when we wore the one piece.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, disgusting.
Did you enjoy it though when you got up on there?
Oh my God, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. Like, I think with Kate as well, like when you're a performer, whether it's gymnastics or a dancer, that is just who you are. Mm-hmm. And being center of stage, when you have grown up being center of stage in any sport, is just, it's just the best feeling ever. It is. It's like it's who you are. It's who you have been since you were a child. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think you get the bug. You've already got the bug from whatever sport you did before, and then that bug goes into something else. And yeah, it's terrifying being on a stage in a tiny bikini, but it's amazing. It's the best feeling.
So I mean, that's really interesting. I mean, we've had one of our viewers, that's Mad Family, have actually said something which is a perfect start here. They've actually asked a question for advice from someone wanting to start but has no idea where to begin. So a lot of our viewers hopefully will really resonate with this, because it's quite daunting, isn't it, to go into a gym which you think is going to be full of men, which a lot of the
I think you have to remember, when you're going into a gym with lots of men, they're all looking at themselves.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so many people are nervous, aren't they, about thinking people are looking at them. And I'm like, trust me, no one is looking at you. That's usually in people's heads. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always think, like, for me, when I've been in a gym, I've always gone to, like, the biggest, scariest looking human to like go and ask for like a spot or to help me with something, because they are normally like the nicest ones. And I always find, just head for the biggest guy, go and ask them for help. Don't be scared. Just remember that at some point, everyone in that gym was the scared human, not knowing where to start. We've all been there. It's terrifying.
How did you find it, Kate, when you first went into the gym?
I was fortunate because I had a friend, or it was a guy I'd known through my sister actually, who owned a gym. So I was literally like, oh my God. Well, my thing was, when I entered the competition, you have to write down, what gym are you part of? And I wasn't part of a gym. So I messaged him on Facebook like, hey, so I want to do this competition in like 10 weeks. And I have to put a gym down. Like, can I put your gym down? And he was like, well, yeah, and come down. And he's like, I won't charge you or anything. And to be fair, I was really fortunate that he helped me, like trained with, he kind of PT'd me in a way, like twice a week, and then had his friend train me like a third time. So 2 or 3 times a week, I kind of learnt the ropes off of those guys. And I think being a dancer, probably same for you being a gymnast, where we pick up things quite quickly, I find, in the gym. Yeah. So our form's normally really good because we know how to hold ourselves. We know what feels right. So I don't know, I can't remember exactly like how I felt turning up there, but it was and still is quite a man dominant gym. Like it was one of those known for having, big bodybuilders and strong people and stuff. Yeah. But I think I just made friends with everyone really. And I just chatted to people, they chatted to me. And I used to then frequently train with loads of the guys in there, so it probably was scary, but you have to do things you're a bit afraid of, don't you? Otherwise you won't get anywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even if you like take a friend with you, go in together with a friend. But yeah, I think the best thing to do is just go in there and get talking to everybody. Yeah. And then it's less scary. When you have that little fitness family at your gym, it's so less scary. Yeah.
Because people in the gym are very, very friendly, aren't they? I've met friends for life. I'm sure you girls have as well. So it's just the initial getting into the gym bit that scares people off actually going and even starting.
Yeah. I think obviously there are, loads and loads of gyms have like personal trainers and stuff that work there. So I suppose if you could afford it, you could maybe book a couple of sessions with someone and just say to them, be honest, be like, look, I only want to have a couple of sessions because I want to get to know, you know, how the gym works, you know, where everything is, how the machines work, you know, just to build up confidence. But I have noticed with people that do hire PTs, they end up just like not actually paying attention to what they're meant to do. They just go off what the PT tells them. So then when they go alone, they're clueless. So that would be my only bit of advice, is like, pay attention, take note of what they're saying so you can then go and do it by yourself. Don't rely on them. And if they're a good PT, you know, they should be happy enough to introduce you to other people. You know, they might have another female client or someone else they know, you know, that would be happy to train with you or something like that.
And also don't be scared to like ask questions to like anybody in the gym, whether it's someone behind reception, whether it is a PT, whether it's just someone that you've seen regularly kind of training. Just don't be scared to approach people, because most people want to help.
Yeah.
So we've got a question actually from Cold Dark Plays, just saying that exact thing. How useful do you find, do you believe having a PT is? And just going on from that, what are the benefits?
So I think, if you're brand new and you literally have no clue what you're doing, I know a lot of machines in gyms sort of tell you what to do, but even I go to a different gym and the machine's different from my gym, and I'm there, standing there for a good 10 minutes scratching my head like, where's the lever or whatever, you know, we've all been there, we all do it, even after 9 years.
Absolutely.
Or whatever. So I think, if you literally have no clue, obviously there's loads of information online now, but that's good and bad. You know, there is good information and there is bad information, but I think there's plenty of popular like YouTube channels or people on Instagram where they've got little snippets of workouts that you could just follow and go to the gym. But or you could hire a PT to show you the ropes, go through maybe a leg day with you and an upper body day with you, so then you can just copy that on your own. And keep going. But obviously, like, then there's coaches as well now, lots of online coaches, so it's not necessarily in-person PT. You could have someone online that writes a program for you, and then you just take that to the gym, read it as you go. So I think there's definitely benefits to having a PT or a coach, for sure.
And being accountable to somebody, I think that's like such a big thing. Like, it's so easy to kind of talk yourself out of a training session, but if you have to go because you are meeting your coach there, then you've got no choice. So I think accountability in the gym environment, in the bodybuilding industry, having a coach, having a PT, giant thing. Massive.
Interesting. So when I used to be a PT many years ago, I used to get a lot of questions from girls. And it's girls who hadn't really been in the gym much, weren't very familiar with dieting and how to get in shape. And the question always was, I've got a holiday in 8 weeks. I need to lose weight. What do I do? So what would your answer be to that question? Because it is a question that a lot of girls will be thinking now.
They just need to be realistic with how much weight they want to lose and how much weight they can lose in a healthy way, and not just put it all back on that week on holiday or whatever. So I'd say they need to just be really sensible, and maybe they could still start the process now and then allow themselves to relax and enjoy their holiday without going overboard, and then maybe have, continue the process afterwards, because it really depends on how much, fat that they want to lose or need to lose, and what they can do in 8 weeks, because a lot can be done in 8 weeks, but it really depends.
Agreed. And obviously, like, to do it healthily, you don't want to, like, your 8 weeks, you don't want to be miserable, you don't want to cut everything out, you don't want to break yourself to the point of you're miserable, you're unhealthy, you go on holiday, you feel like crap because you enjoying yourself, and then put it all back on. Like Kate said, you have to be realistic with your goals. You do. There's no quick fix to anything in life.
No.
Especially when it comes to bodybuilding, fitness, losing weight, getting healthy, getting fit, getting strong. It's such a slow process.
I think a lot of the people who I've spoken to about this, they're not consistent in the gyms. So I mean, they do come. They're like, oh my god, I need to lose this weight. I've only got so long. I mean, what would your 3 bits of advice be to them to get to a stage where they're not being dangerous with their health, but 3 different steps they need to take in those 8 weeks to try and get into some kind of a...
And they've never set foot in a gym.
No, there's a lot of the people I'd say do go to the gym, but they're not consistent with it. And they're like, oh, I'm overweight, What do I need to do? Help
so
me.
I'd say, the first most important thing is they need to know how many calories they're consuming every day. And obviously, if their weight's been increasing, then they're in a surplus. If they've sort of maintained the weight, they're in like maintenance. And so they need to try their best to sort of track their whole day, count all their calories, and then obviously cut that down a little bit. Not like a massive amount, but, you know, say that they realize they're eating like 2,500 calories a day, you know, maybe cut that down to just 2,000 and stick to that for a whole week, like religiously, like meticulously counting everything, you know, drinks as well, unless it's like a Diet Coke or a squash, you know, with no calories. But people forget, you know, like their fancy coffees they buy at the shops are like ridiculous amounts of calories are hidden in loads of those. So I'd say that first and foremost is they need to figure out what their calories are and then reduce them. And then they just need to maybe increase their steps if that's possible. Depends how busy they are. You know, increase it again, maybe buy a cheap watch. Mine was like 20 quid and I've had it for years. And then literally see how many steps they usually do and just bump it up slightly. Say they usually do only like 4,000, bump it up to 6,000 again for the whole week. And then the third thing I would say is if, you know, they do go to the gym, how many times realistically can they go? Say it's 3 times, fine, but go for 3 times, you know, and do a good solid workout for maybe like 30 to 40 minutes as opposed to spending a whole hour in there just wasting time and not really doing it properly. And again, just stick to it. Like you said, it needs to become like a habit. You need consistency.
Like consistency.
Yeah, exactly.
And also like don't, you know, obviously don't suddenly just drop like so many calories out of your diet straight away. It's such a gradual thing.
Definitely.
If you drop like a 1,000 calories out straight away, oh sweet Jesus, you are gonna feel like crap.
And you're not going to stick to it. And then what's going to happen literally after 2 or 3 days, you're just going to eat everything you can find. Yeah. And then you'd have ended up cancelling everything out anyway. So, just slow and steady.
So I've got one for you then on that one. Another questions that we get quite a lot, I'm sure you girls will have heard as well, is when is suitable then for their cheat? Because this cheat comes up quite a lot. It's like, oh, I've dieted now for a week. Can I have my cheat? So how do you both take that? And what would you give advice to it?
I mean, I've done preps where I haven't even had a cheat because for me, sometimes I'm better off without a cheat. I might have something like I might have a few extra oats, but I've gone completely non-treaty through a prep and it's been absolutely fine. But I think people think that it's a given that, oh, I've done really well for a week, I should be allowed a burger. And it's like, it doesn't work like that. Just because you've done well for a whole week, you can't just stuff yourself full of like burgers and chips and like expect it regularly. Like I'm very much like, you know, if you're doing well and you do really need a refeed, you know, maybe you've hit a bit of a plateau and your body's just not responding and you just need a bit of a kick up the arse, then go and enjoy yourself. Or if you're really flagging and struggling and life is just a bit shit and you need to feel good, then have a burger. You know, I'm very much like, you've got to listen to like your body and your brain. And if you're struggling, sometimes a little feel good goes a long way, especially like when you're not prepping for a show. If you're just like a lifestyle wanting to lose weight, like, you know, a lot of people think a cheat is a given and it's not always. Like we've both been through preps where we haven't been allowed yummies and it's tough, but it's tough shit as well.
Yeah. I say to a lot of these people, I'm like, when's your cheat meal? You've been cheating for the last 20 years. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure you can go a few weeks or a few months without it. But no, in all seriousness, with my clients, whether they're competitors or just, you know, people just wanting to get in shape or lose weight or whatever, we do macro tracking, so flexible dieting. So nothing is off limit. So in theory, they can eat what they want every day. It just means obviously they fill their day with crappy foods that just, you know, are just total waste of calories, really. And they're going to notice that. They're going to feel that. They're going to feel hungry because they've not got, you know, the food their body really needs. So I always say, you know, factor it in. If you want that chocolate bar, have it. You can have a chocolate bar every day. Of course you can. But, you know, you're just going to go off how you feel, how many calories you've got to play with. And kind of like you said, you know, with some clients, I'll give them like a higher carb day. And they usually have like they can factor in a whole cheat meal, if you will, with those extra calories, and you can just bump them up to like maintenance, so then they're still progressing for the rest of the week, or even slightly higher, because they're still overall going to have been in a deficit if they've stuck to it. But yeah, I'm all for, like, again, you know, you have clients and I'm just like, let me know ahead of time if you've got a birthday or a special occasion coming up, because what you can always do as well is lower your calories ever so slightly for, you know, that week if you want to. It's more about, I don't care if a client gains a couple of pounds because they had a blowout for their birthday. But I'm like, how does it make you feel? If it's going to make you feel crap or feel like you've messed up, then let's see if we can damage control. But otherwise, I'm like, just accept you're up like 4 or 5 pounds and know that it will come off in another week or two. But you've got to enjoy life and special occasions
100%.
because that's what they're there for. Obviously, it's slightly different when you're competing because you have a time limit and you have to look a certain way for a competition. But if it's like everyday life, then you can't be going your whole life with no chocolate and cake and pizza. Like, what?
God,
no.
How miserable would your life be if you did
Exactly. You have to live and enjoy.
It's about balance, isn't it? It's about enjoying life, having fun, being able to go to the parties, being able to go and enjoy your birthday, and still having good food that's going to feed your workouts. And but you can't live life on just chicken and rice. It's depressing.
Do you think, girls, that some women over-analyse the diets to the point where it puts them off doing it?
Probably, yeah.
I think people just make them harder than they need to be for like lifestyle. Like Kate said, like she does macro tracking, and when Kate coached me, we did macro tracking. So my diet was really nice because I could have yummy, healthy food and still feel like I wasn't dieting. Yeah. And I think that's the big thing. So many people think it has to be horrible and boring and plain. And for lifestyle, it just doesn't. Yeah. It really doesn't. Yeah.
So we've got another question coming, leading from that, from Rich's Drumstick. How do you deal with time? And going on from that, limited time to train and prep food. So how do you deal with your time, especially when you've got limited time to train and prep your food?
Well, you just make the time, don't you? You just have a routine and fit it in. So I guess depends how long it's going to take you to prepare your meals or your food. But I would say for people who are, you know, super busy, have like full-time jobs, have to travel, you know, kids, all of that, just set aside, you know, I guess 1 to 2 times a week. So say like a Sunday for an hour or whatever. I can't see it taking that long to make food, but set that hour aside on a Sunday and then maybe one during the week. And then you just batch make it, and then you put some like in the fridge and then some in the freezer. So I think a lot of people seem to be scared of like, or I remember having a client didn't realize like, oh yeah, you could put cooked chicken in the freezer. I'm like, yeah, just cook it and put it in the freezer, and then when you're going to have it, like just defrost it for a day. And you know, it's just, again, people like overcomplicate things. You don't think, oh yeah, I could just have a whole meal prepared and just stick it in the freezer and then microwave it. Boom.
Yeah.
So
like I think if you really want to do something, you make time. Like I get up at 5 every morning so I can prep my meals fresh. Yeah. I don't batch cook. That's just my choice because I like to have fresh meals. Obviously, I'm out all day walking dogs. So to have a nicely fresh cooked meal each day is great. So I would just get up 5 o'clock in the morning, and I think it takes me 20 minutes to prep.
Yeah, that's it. It doesn't take that long, does it? It really doesn't.
And again, with training, I think there's so many, especially nowadays, you've got so many 24-hour gyms. So yes, you might be tired, but you can't tell me that you don't have time to go to the gym, even if it's for like 40-minute workout. Like you make time. If it's something you truly want to do, you make time. Yeah. Whether that means you get up earlier or you go to bed later.
People sit and watch, like binge watch TV or whatever. So it's like, just use some of that time to make your food.
Well, I don't know if they'd be doing
watch
that.
It on the treadmill.
Yeah. Put your TV in the kitchen. There you go.
Yeah, watch it on your phone while you're doing cardio.
Exactly.
So I'll move on to a couple of gym questions I've got here. Bit of a nice open question for you both. What's your favourite thing to do at the gym? That's from Real Kiyuro.
Mine changes. Chat.
I like to have a chat.
Me too, actually. I noticed that going off topic. I was training with my friend. I've got like a new training partner, and we just chat so much. I mean, we do train because we can multitask. And then I trained with my boyfriend, and I was like, "Wow, we don't chat at all when we train." He's like, "No, we get on with it." I was like, oh, "I love chatting so much."
For it, why do you want to get on with it when you can have a chat all the way through it?
Man, so you can't multitask as well. But yeah.
Oh, I'm staying neutral on this. It's a female show.
I love deadlifting. Obviously, I haven't done it for a while since last year, but like deadlifting is probably one of my absolute favourite things to do in the gym. Especially, last year it was kind of my favourite thing.
Yeah, because you did powerlifting, didn't you?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And tell us a little bit about it, Kate. Tell us about the powerlifting experience.
Yeah.
Oh, I really, really did enjoy it. It's because like I've done obviously bodybuilding now for 9 years, very consistent. At the end of the day, it can be very samey because you don't need to keep switching up everything drastically.
Yeah, it's boring.
Definitely. So it can get a bit like, I just do it because it's part of my life and I have to do it, and I do most of the time enjoy it. But I was like, I want a new challenge, want to do something different. I love feeling strong, and I want to see how strong I can be. So, obviously started doing my powerlifting program, and it was really like simple and quite basic. And I loved that for once, just not doing like a million exercises.
Yeah.
And, it's just quite simple, and it still takes like a good hour or more. But I just,
it takes longer because you need more of a rest.
Yeah, it can be. But I absolutely loved it. And I used to never bench, and I used to hate benching, and I actually grew to love benching. Obviously, I can't do that anymore, but I really enjoyed, all of it. The training, having the goals.
And you did so well. You got so strong.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Kate, what was the macros like then? From obviously keeping your normal fitness lifestyle to adjusting to the powerlifting, was it a big increase in food?
I just didn't worry about it. I'll be honest. I didn't focus because, I like when I'm like off season, I guess. I like to just freestyle pretty much and not worry about counting everything. I'm pretty good at knowing how much I'm eating. I'm one of those people, I weigh myself every day. That's just habit, and it doesn't affect me negatively doing that. But I can always keep an eye on sort of what my weight's doing, more so like how I feel. If I feel a bit yuck, if I feel a bit, like I'm gaining weight and I don't like it, I'll just pull back slightly. But yeah, I definitely did eat more. I'd have more like cheat meals, I guess, and relax a bit more, but I just sort of stayed around a certain weight and just kind of I wasn't afraid to go up a little bit in weight. And basically the category like I entered was such a high weight class, I would never have got that heavy, but the one below was like stage lean, and I was like, I'm doing this so I don't have to be stage lean. So it didn't really matter. I guess if I was competing to be in a weight class, I've had to take that a bit more sort of seriously, but I didn't. I was, big gap I had, the range I had was so massive, I didn't really worry. I just, and I actually discovered that, and I'm not I don't believe in fasting or any of that, but I sometimes had some of my best sessions when I hadn't eaten anything. Like I would go fasted, which I wouldn't really recommend, but sometimes, I'd actually be like stronger when I hadn't eaten beforehand. Just, everyone's different. So
yeah, I think Andrew Jack's one of the male pros who's coming in big for the Arnold. He's a big kind of like a prospect to win the Olympia. He actually said on Jay Cutler's podcast last week that he enjoys fasted training much better than before when he's filled himself up with carbs.
I can honestly relate. Yep.
Some people just get up in the morning, coffee, go.
Yeah, and you're not really too fasted, are you? Because usually I eat quite late at night. I'm one of those. I don't really care. I'll eat until I go to bed. So I guess, depending on, if I've got up really early, it's not like I'm totally.
No, if you've worked, the night before, you're getting in at silly o'clock, aren't you?
Yeah.
So another good question I've got, actually. So you girls are fantastic on stage. Your actual performances require lots of high intensity moves, which I suppose you'll have to train a lot for, but will also have quite negative effects on the joints and, to train for this. How often do you girls actually train for the routines? You kind of leave it towards the show, or is it an all year round doing the gymnastics and the high intensity springs and, handstands and flips and everything?
It should be year round, really. But obviously, if you're going into an off season and you're gaining a bit of weight, you also have to be really mindful of that, flipping around, handstands, push up combos when you are heavier is going to be more of a strain on your body. Obviously, it's good to be able to still do that heavier, because then when you're lighter, it will just feel like super, super easy. And usually they say, obviously learning all those new skills is the off season. That's when you're going to get new skills. You're not going to be worrying about new skills during your prep, because that's too much to sort of think about, really. And you should already have your routine together. But I mean, it's with me over the years, it's varied, really. Sometimes I'll take a break from it, and like you Vicky, you've had like injuries and niggles with all that sort of stuff, so you have to be really careful, don't you?
And I think when you are off season and you are heavier, things are hard. Like lifting yourself off the floor, and holding yourself up when you're a little bit heavier, it is tough. And you do suffer injuries, like your joints hurt and you get little tears here and there. And it is. It's tough. It's tough. But
I mean, say keeping like maybe 1 or 2 HIIT sessions a week, or even every couple of weeks, so you can keep kind of conditioning for the routine. And just practice skills as and when, even if you don't dedicate like a whole day some weeks, you could just add it into the beginning of the end of your, say, shoulder workout, and then do some holds and handstands.
I always used to do like, I like maybe my skills like 3 times a week. I'd pick like different skills and I'd do them at the end of the session, and then I'd maybe have like on a Sunday, just have a day, couple of hours, just spend stretching massively, and then my skills. And then obviously when you're in prep, skills are pretty much every day, whether it is just messing around at the end of the workout, just doing transitions from skills to skills.
Very basic question, which I'm sure people don't think to ask, but they need to know the answer to. So stretching, how often do you girls stretch a week?
Every day.
Well, I naturally just stretch before, during, and after my workout. So you have to have like 30 seconds to a minute rest between sets. Other people just stand there or go on their phone, stretch, literally just stand there and stretch. So obviously you should always be warming up, and then perfect time to do some afterwards. And I know loads of people say they don't have the time, but that's when I'm always like, you could literally do it between sets. I'm always just do it at the end of my workout. Religiously, I will always stretch at the end of the workout. In the mornings, I'll get up and I might do a little bit of a stretching and stuff, because I'm up at 5, so why the hell not? I've got plenty of time. But I think every single day. And I see so many people that don't stretch, especially like bodybuilders. And I'm like, how do you get in your poses if you're not stretching? It must be so painful. Like, it must be so awkward.
I'll be honest, I don't see many girls or guys stretching at all. A lot of the commercial gyms I'm going, they train hard and they're straight out. It's very rare I see people stretching. It's obviously really important.
Most people don't. And
then I think when you're obviously, with Kate being a dancer and me being a gymnast, it was drilled into us as a child that we had to stretch. Definitely. And we would have stretched every day, probably made to cry stretching. So for us, it is natural.
And how have you found the injuries with that, Vicky, then? So obviously stretching helps get better blood flow to the tendons to stop issues happening. How do you think that stretching throughout your careers have prolonged it? Do you think it's a big part to play in it?
Oh, the only injury I've really had that was horrendous, and that was I snapped my Achilles tendon. Yeah. That was after my gymnastics career. I didn't have any injuries other than maybe a sprained ankle. I landed on my head a few times, which explains a lot. But I really have been very blessed with not suffering injuries. And even like through fitness, I've had like a little partial calf tear and, like a few niggles. But I think if I didn't stretch, I think at the age of 40 and everything that I've done through my life with training and competing, I would be a broken human right now. Like, I honestly can't believe that people don't stretch.
I think you made a mistake there, Vicky. You mean the age of 23.
23. At the age of 23.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, I would be like disabled. Yeah. Definitely.
Well, we spoke a little bit about calves there, and Adam Cassidy's messaged in and asked what the best exercise for calves for someone who has small calves. So, what do you recommend?
Well, I've never had
shit. Yeah, Kate's got like Kate's dancer legs.
So yeah, wear heels, high heels all the time.
Wear your high heels to the gym and squat in them. I just said train them 3 times a week. Smash them on the calf machine. Train them 3 times a week. So, they're a small muscle. They will recover.
So Adam,
I do also think that, like, I'm afraid for some people, just genetics, you've got to accept that they might not ever get that massive. You know, just some people just have small calves.
Yeah.
Calf implants.
Yeah.
So Adam Cassidy, to answer that question, if you are watching, you need to do standing calf raises with heels. And hopefully 3 times a week.
Honestly, wearing high heels will give you some big calves. Or ballet. Do ballet.
Yeah. Or dog walking. Yeah. I don't train my calves. I just walk dogs every day uphill.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple of random questions. So, Kitten Heels 89. What's the best place to buy supportive non-wire bra sets?
Oh, well, if you have really big boobs and you really need like hardcore support, actually Marks and Spencer's. They used to do way more designs and colours, but at the moment they've only got like 2. But I think out of any bras I've tried, I've got some Amazon ones which are all right, but Marks and Spencer's, and they zip at the front, and they're just so...
Yeah, they keep you in.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. What shall I look at next? So, Kate from Lou S. Hey, Kate, how long has it taken you to get to where you are, and to where you are now, and what made you start? So obviously we've done the start bit, but how long has it taken you to get to the level that you've obviously qualified for the Olympia, which you would have done? How long has it taken?
So 2014, it was May or April 2014 when I first competed. I won that show. I did bikini, and then I competed as an amateur until 2017. So 14, 15, 16, 17, 3 years was it? But it was a lot of competitions. Like some years I would do like 7 or 8 competitions in a year. And then won my pro card in 2017, like the end of 2017. No, or the middle.
March. It was up, wasn't it?
It was March, yeah. So basically 3 years. Yeah. The Arnold America.
It's more than you.
So 3 years, but like non-stop competing. And then obviously my pro debut, which was 2018, Arnold America, came second. Then 2 weeks later, the Arnold Australia, where I won and qualified for the Olympia. So it actually only took 3 years to get to the Olympia.
And obviously over those 3 years then, were you putting in, how many days a week would you be putting into this? Obviously it's a lifestyle, but...
So obsessed, I loved it because it was also new. So I would train probably 6 times a week, like at least 5. And I was doing, obviously I was learning gymnastics, so I could have like a backflip in my routine. So I was doing that. Obviously my weight training, my cardio. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot, but it was worth it.
That's the thing. I think because obviously you didn't come from a gymnastics background, you had so much more to learn.
Yeah.
And I think like what you've managed to learn in the space of the time that you've done your fitness compared to all these other fitness competitors that have done cheerleading and gymnastics. Oh my God, like what you've achieved is incredible but it is like gymnastics is bloody hard.
Yeah, and doing it as an adult, it's like, you're fearless as a kid, but like,
I've done it my whole life and I'd still be terrified to like, what if I fall on my head? So I think the fact that you haven't come from that background and what you've achieved is just so incredible compared to the girls that have been cheerleading and jumped around like lunatics their whole life. I think, and I don't think people realize that. I think people are very easy to not understand how difficult fitness is as a gymnast, let alone as a non-gymnast who has decided to learn it. as an adult. It's tough.
Yeah.
And I think like that says a lot more than anything about how your achievements aren't just stepping on the Olympia stage. You've taken like a whole category that you have is so out of your comfort zone, so like terrifying to suddenly start. And in 3 years you've smashed it.
Talking a little bit about stopping then. So basically, I'm doing tennis at the moment, and I'm really enjoying it. But if I don't do it every week, twice a week, I start to lose a little bit of my feel for it. With the gymnastic side of things, how often do you have to keep doing this to kind of keep your eye in, as they say, or to keep yourself feeling like you're on point with it? Or can it slip to the point where you start to feel a bit uncomfortable with it?
Oh, God, yeah. Well, I don't know for you, Vicky, because obviously you've done it for a lot longer. But for me, I felt like it was more that, not that I wouldn't be able to do it, but more I'd get really like anxious about doing it. So yeah, if I didn't do a backflip for a couple of weeks or a month or whatever, going back and trying to do it, I could really get in my own head about it. So yeah, the more I did it, the better I would be, the better I would feel, the more confident I was. So yeah, I do think it is like anything. It's one of those things you need to keep doing over and over and over again, and as regularly as possible.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's not so much you can't do it, it's getting inside your head and freaking yourself out about it and overthinking it.
Vicky, when's the last time you did a backflip?
Oh my God, maybe like a year ago or so.
Oh, we need a video. We need a video of you getting psyched up to do one.
I think for me, oh God, I'll probably break something. I'll always do my skills. Like I'll handstand every single day without fail. I'd always do make sure I still do my splits and everything, and like skills, like my flips and my tumbles, not so much.
What about you, Kate? Kate, when are you due for the next one?
They have the like most impact though, don't they? Like even the girls that are like top level, winning the Olympia, or girls that are literally have done it forever. They even say when they're practicing, they've got to be picky with when they actually practice their full with the flips and tumbles. So obviously the risk is higher, even though they could do them with their eyes closed. All that impact on a hard floor, especially. That's why loads of us practice on gymnastics floors, because it's so much kinder to your body. But obviously the competition stage floor is not a gymnastics floor. It's a rock hard floor, pretty much.
It's a stage.
You want to obviously have rehearsed, knowing you can do it on that hard floor, but you wouldn't want to be practicing over and over and over again on a hard floor beforehand. You're just going to
and if you see all the fitness girls, they're all strapped, they're all taped, like ankles, knees, wrists, they're all strapped, they're all taped, they've all got elbow pads, knee pads. It's quite dangerous.
It looks amazing. I mean, I suppose adrenaline as well is getting you through any knocks when you're on the stage in front of everyone. And then backstage when you've calmed down, like, ow.
You're bleeding and can't breathe.
You got scrapes down your knees and all sorts.
So I've got one more question for this week's episode. We mentioned at the beginning, so it's Train Like Nina is asking, what techniques do you implement to cope with and reduce post-comp needs to binge?
It's a hard one. We've all been there. Well, a lot of us have been there. Real issues with it. But I think what changed it for me was years ago, like I said already, doing macro tracking and flexible dieting, as opposed to these raw diets or these coaches that are putting you on such low calories, or like keto, where you don't have any carbs, or you can only have chicken and broccoli. You can't have any variety in your meats or your veggies. It's like so ridiculous. So I think having that freedom to
the flexibility
what you're eating will definitely reduce the potential of like that post-comp binging. And like I said, if you give yourself plenty of time for a competition, more time than you think you're going to need, again, you won't have to diet as hard. You'll be dieting overall, you'll be in a deficit for longer, but you won't have to drop so low. So then you won't feel so like starved and you wouldn't have had to do as much cardio. So I think that's the main thing, is going into it, giving yourself enough time so you don't have to do 2 hours of cardio a day. You don't have to do 1,000 calories. And you can be more flexible with your approach. And then it's all well and good people saying reverse diet and basically go back on a diet. But I think that's stupid. I think let yourself go back up to a comfortable body fat, a comfortable weight, and you will have an idea of what that was from, you know, your experience through your diet. You'll be like, oh, well, when I was about this weight, I still felt really good, but, you know, I had the energy to, you know, train properly. And...
yeah, people have like that happy weight, don't they?
So I think don't stress about shooting back up there quickly, you know, just know that it's probably going to be a mental thing. You're going to be like, oh my god, I'm so fat, when you're not. But I just think don't do this slow reversing back, because then you're just prolonging the diet, and the urge to binge with no show is just going to be more apparent. So I think
when you are put on such ridiculously low calories coming into a show, the last thing you want to do coming out of a show is being put back onto those low calories.
No way.
And like Kate said, give yourself time. You do not have to be at like 900 calories in your last week doing 2 hours of cardio. Like you don't.
Yeah.
You just need more time. You really do. And that's, you know, I think just be sensible. Listen to your body. Like your body needs those like fats and salts and sugars that you've deprived yourself of.
Yeah.
So just enjoy it and be sensible. Yeah. Don't, like you said, don't think too much about it. Like,
and don't do any cardio. You know, like a lot of people, again, after a show, they're like, oh right, well that's it, I'm not doing any cardio at all.
No.
Like, that's a big mistake. Even if you're going out for walks, you don't have to be doing HIIT cardio or an hour on the treadmill. Like, mix it up. Just get out and about and still make sure you are doing cardio post show. It doesn't have to be quite as much as you were doing before. Don't just cut it all out.
Go into the gym if you want to have a little workout. Go and have a little nice workout.
Like, you just enjoy it.
You could go for a chat. Go for a good chat to everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Have a coffee and have a chat.
That's it.
Well,
just walk.
On that note, I've really enjoyed, I'm sure the viewers will have really enjoyed us all having a chat in our first episode of Women in Fitness. Guys, please comment below. Please make sure to like our page, and we will be back. Now, also, if you can ask any questions that you've got, if you can drop them in the comments box, we can put them on the next show, and Kate and Victoria can answer those questions for you next time.
Absolutely.
So, girls, first of all, it's been great seeing you again. I've not seen you both for ages.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, and I'm sure everyone's loved it too. And like I said, thank you so much, and we will be back.
Yes, we will.
Awesome. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back with episode 2 of Women in Fitness. For me, Kate, and Victoria, have a pleasant day.